All right, what is up? Haley and Michael are with us right now. Hopefully we got some other people joining on, but otherwise, appreciate you two being here. Today we've got a couple topics on the agenda that we're going to chat about. We were just talking just really quickly. Mike and his wife Becca are they're moving in about a month. So right now they've also got a couple of little kids going through potty training. So I know right now it's kind of, control the controllables. You're not going to be perfect. If you can just be 60% even, that's fantastic. During those worst weeks, it's important to just think about what's the best I can do this week. And that probably doesn't mean 100%. It just means, if 50% is the best I can do, then I'm going to crush 50%, and the rest of it, I'll let go. Once they get settled in their new spot in the next month, they'll have been maintaining and treading water, all the positive things, and then they'll be able to crush it and really find their stride with their new home, their new lifestyle, and everything else. And then Haley's snacking on some food. If you guys have not tried Bonza pasta, it's a higher protein. I'm pretty sure it's a chickpea blend. It tastes very, very similar to normal ordinary pasta, but it's got like triple the amount of protein, a lot of fiber in it, and like half the carbs as a normal pasta. So that's very, very good as well. But anyway, so things on the docket to be talking about tonight. Number one, this might not be of any interest to anybody else, but so as you guys know, I've been in comp prep the past 2 months since I got back from Europe. And there wasn't one cheat meal in that 8 weeks. And usually I would do a comp prep in about 12 to 16 weeks, but this was a little bit of a faster turnaround so I could qualify for World Championships, which is in October 29th. Going to the show, I felt fantastic. But after the past few days, and it's not because I took second, there's a multitude of reasons. I won't dive into everything. I'll just touch on a few of those topics, but I've decided not to do that second comp. And it's a couple things, and it was a very, very hard decision, and it's really weighed on me all week long, just thinking about if I was going to do it or not, because, ultimately it created the little mental list of the pros and cons of doing that next show. And, ultimately I love doing a show because I love the competitive outlet it gives me. I love the amount of discipline I've got to have during it. And it's just always nice to kind of sharpen that tool for myself. And it's just fun to see what I'm able to accomplish and how far I can kind of push my body, my mindset, and everything else with that. So I love that competitive outlet with it. Also a year or two ago, I said that's what I was going to do during this year, was I was going to qualify for Worlds and I was going to compete in Worlds. So it's a matter of, I said I was going to do it, so I want to do it. And on top of that, just having a coach and telling him that, hey, I'm not going to do the show anymore was weighing super, super heavy on me. But ultimately, some of the biggest deciding factors was, life balance is always a key with that, because, prep is super selfish, and I've got to be really meticulous and on point with everything. So I don't have a lot of energy for other things that you would do in a marriage, and going out on date nights, stuff like that. So there's a sacrifice that Nicole has to make with that. So that's always part of the talks before I do a comp prep. But the other thing, and I feel almost irresponsible for myself, because I got my lab work back in like April, and most things had been improved since my last round of labs, and everything was looking good. My testosterone was back up, so all that stuff looked good. But my TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone, was elevated. 1 to 2 on that TSH is ideal. Mine was at a 5.5. And, if I had a client come to me and said, hey, I'm going to do a really, really intense cut, or I was going to do a comp prep, and I saw that TSH score, I would say, hey, I don't think this is the best idea. But, just like, I recommend you guys should stretch. It's always hard for a coach to say, hey, you should stretch, but then I'm not stretching myself. It's kind of the same thing in the situation. I chose that, hey, it's only going to be 8 weeks. So even though that TSH isn't in the ideal spot for me, technically that's actually hypothyroidism where I'm at with that. I thought more and more about it, and just the impact it could negatively potentially have on myself just wasn't worth it. So, I felt, while it was hard to say no, that I'm not going to do that show, there's so many reasons pulling me to not do the show. And honestly, I feel like, over the years, especially with competing, the biggest key with this is trying to become wiser and, gain that wisdom with it. And ultimately knowing when to pivot and to change your course of action, I think is a very important thing to be able to realize. And as hard as it was, I'm proud of myself for making that decision. So tonight I had to talk with Caleb, my coach, and let him know that I'm not going to be doing that show. And I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders. And that's kind of one of the first things I just want to briefly talk about is, Nicole could feel that stress coming, me coming home the past 3 or 4 days of thinking about this. And it was a conversation I hadn't had yet that I knew I needed to have. And so ultimately, not procrastinating and putting off your stressors. If it's something you can control, if it's conversation with somebody, if it's a to-do task thing for your work or whatever the case is, if it's something you can knock out sooner than later and not let that just weigh you down and suck you down, it's super important, obviously just with your mental health and everything else with it. But also the past few days, I haven't been thriving. And usually after a show like this, I feel amazing and I'm pumped up, but that stress of that decision was just weighing me down. And finally, when I made the decision, I just needed to have that conversation and not put it off any longer. I planned on doing that conversation on Saturday, Sunday of this coming week. And I already knew what my answer was. So it was important for me to have that conversation. So moral of the story, know when to pivot, and make those adjustments is very, very key. What was the other thing I wanted to kind of chat about? Why I'm not doing the show. We're going to get into something in just a second. The other thing I just wanted to announce is me and Caleb, who's my coach at the moment. He's the owner of Body Shop, where I also train my clients out of, my in-person training clients. And me and him are actually going to be starting a podcast here pretty soon. I can't remember if I said that on the last Zoom call that we had. It's something that really scares the shit out of me, but I found that anything that scares me, there's a reason why it scares me, and I should go tackle that. So we're going to start a podcast. We've already been doing IG lives on Wednesday nights, usually after this call is done, but I'm excited for this podcast. I'm pretty sure, not to give away too many details of it, but it's going to be called, what's it going to be called? Food, Fitness, and Family. And ultimately, my decision to not compete for the longevity of my health and my, just family happiness, I think ties kind of directly into that. So we're excited to start that. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like. Hopefully I can get some listeners out of you guys with it, but we don't know where it's going to go. Right now it's just, we're already doing the IG live. So let's just see what we can do with the podcast with it. So I got my podcasting microphone kit back there behind me. I got some headphones coming in. So I'm excited to kind of start that new challenge for both of us. So I'm excited to share more details about that. I'm hoping that by the end of this month, maybe we can have, a backlog of about 4 or 5 episodes recorded so that we can start, pumping those things out. We plan to share it weekly, and it'll be on Spotify and Apple. We already kind of have that stuff in the works right now. So then it just comes down to recording. But anyway, don't want to dive too much into that stuff. We'll talk about that stuff later. Now, the main thing here that we want to talk about is I've shared it twice now. I made some updates and shared it again and sent it to everybody individually in the messages in our app. But the new intro document. So if you guys don't remember what the original one was, if you never read it, even though you got it, it was just like a Word document, a PDF document that had a lot of words on it. My new document still has a lot of words on it, but it wasn't as user friendly. So what I ended up doing, if you guys haven't watched, looked at those messages that I've sent you guys, I did 2 things with it. So now when a new client signs up, and again, I want you guys to kind of have that new client experience and see the upgrades and the improvements of that stuff. So that's why I sent it out to you. But number one, new client, when they sign up, they get a short little 5-minute Loom video of me kind of walking through that new document, and kind of explaining, how to use it, where all the different links are, all the different stuff like that. So we're kind of just going to dive into this and kind of talk about it, because I know, over the years, the people who, really truly read through that document and those different tools that I give, they learn how to track their macros. They learn how to do the check-ins really quick. Like, it really saves a lot of the guesswork, because a lot of that stuff is already answered there. And the people that obviously didn't ever read it, sometimes they're asking me questions. I'm like, hey, it's in this document. I promise if you just utilize the tools I'm giving you, it's going to help a whole lot. Not that I'm, not wanting to answer questions, but I try to give you guys as many tools as possible. Haley, I just saw your comment. Podcasts are my favorite thing to listen to on walks. Love that. Same here. Been looking for a new one. So you have to give me some feedback on how ours goes once we get going with it. But so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of go through that Thriving Lives Fitness Success Packet that I was just mentioning. So let me share my screen here. One second. I think I'm actually getting better at this finally. All right. Can you guys all see this if you're on here right now? Got a thumbs up. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to share this, or I'm going to run this slideshow as if we were just doing this. So Thriving Lives Fitness Success Packet. Let's kind of dive on into this. So the first thing that you would see on this is steps to getting started. Obviously, you've all started for the most part. So essentially just the process of what happens whenever you first get started with TLF, the things you should go do. Some of these things you might have missed when you first did it. Complete the questionnaire, we decided on your program, complete your invoice and get going with this. Get your training app set up, and then review through this. Please read through this entire presentation. I recommend if you don't have time yet to just check this stuff out. Complete the goal check-in. So I sent this out to everybody. I think I got about 50 responses, I was pretty happy with that. If you haven't done the goal check-in yet, I highly recommend it. Nicole and I sat down and did this actually together a couple of weeks ago, just talking about, what our health goals are, what our family goals are, what our financial goals are, what our career goals are, all that type of stuff. I think it's good to have those conversations with yourself, with your spouse, and just kind of make sure you guys are on the same page and working towards something as opposed to just kind of wandering through life. I think it's good to have a little bit of direction. Obviously, stop to enjoy the roses and smell the roses, whatever the term is, but having some direction with it. Then join the Facebook group. I usually add everybody onto this. Every now and then I'll miss somebody. Like and follow my business page. There's links on a couple of following pages. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook for more content, education, updates. Obviously, this helps me out. Obviously all the likes and follows always help. But on top of that, I don't always share on TLF, on our group, what I share on those posts, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. Some of that stuff is more just entertaining. Some of that stuff is more so for help. I'll post my meals on there. I'll post some of that quicker content because I don't want to bombard you guys with all the messages. So if you're following me on there, I recommend, even just, tapping that bell icon so you get notified whenever we do make a post. But if not, just, following me on that stuff would be helpful as I try to provide education on there as well. Set reminders in your phone for check-in days and the weekly community Zoom call. Obviously, you get the prompts in your phone and your messages, but setting, some reminders, if you want to be on the Zoom calls, but you keep forgetting, you keep missing or whatever the case is, set an alarm for 5 p.m., a couple hours before we hop on here so that if you have time, then you can kind of plan on that if you're forgetting it. Set reminders in your phone for check-in days. That's key as well. I'm going to back out of this really quick and just show you, I've talked about this app before. I've shared it with a lot of different people, but it's called the Todoist app. Let me get this thing out of here. So essentially I put all my to-dos on here. You see this right here. Walk boss, haven't done it yet. Need to do it after this call. Water my trees. I'll probably do that after this call. Take out the trash and recycling. Literally just the normal to-do stuff, running a business, doing all that, just doing everything that I'm doing with my business and training clients in person and teaching and life and whatnot. It's got people on here that I need to reach out to that we need to talk about whatever their program's going to look like. Just anything that comes to my head that I want to take care of, I put it on there because otherwise I'm going to miss a lot of things. That helps me keep organized. I can set reminders on there. I can set alerts on there. I can, date things for down the road. It helps me. I don't know if you saw on there, pay my uncle for the stain job he did on our fence. Like anything that I think of or anything that I need to do just goes right on there, including my check-in. So with my coach, when I was doing, in my comp prep, and now it's just a weekly check-in, but there for a while I was doing daily check-ins, and that was on my to-do list because number one, it makes me feel good to cross those things off. But number two, I'm not going to forget about it. I wake up, I check that list before I go to bed. I might check it so I know what I got to do the next morning. But other than that, though, it keeps me on point. Next things on here: purchase what you can from the lifestyle essentials shopping list. These are things like a food scale, things like a weight scale in the bathroom, and a couple other things as well, like certain staples that I usually put on people's diet plan, whether it be psyllium husk for the fiber or chia seeds for the fiber. You can buy that stuff in bulk on Amazon. So I put that stuff on that lifestyle essential shopping list, which we'll get to in a little bit. And then your program kind of gets going. So let's go on to the next one here. So I'm not going to read through all this stuff, but what is my why? I kind of go into what is my why. And then here's a link to that TLF goal check-in that I mentioned on page number, I think 2. So take the survey. 10 minutes might be a little bit longer than that if you're really putting a lot of effort into it. But going through that, what's included in your TLF program, not going to dive into this. You guys already know what's included with it. The next thing, so this is a new thing. So I've added 3 different add-on services that obviously are no obligation, just an option if you want to, take advantage of it. So this one is for the person who's still struggling with setting up MyFitnessPal and logging your macros. I still have some people that have been with me for 2 years that still struggle with this, and they stick to the diet plan really well, but they're not learning how to, create that variety and change things in and out and substitutes foods in and out to allow them that freedom, but also keeping them in line with their plan. So essentially what this is just a one-time extra charge. I'll fully go set up your MyFitnessPal account. So if you don't have an account, I set it up for you. You just give me like your login information that you want in terms of like email and whatever you want your password to be. And then I go in there and I will completely take your custom diet plan and build that into MyFitnessPal with all the correct foods. So we've talked about this on here before. It's hard to find the right foods with the right macros, with the right portions and everything else on MyFitnessPal because it's like Wikipedia. Anybody can enter anything in there. So I'll go in there and add your entire diet plan in there. And then I will send you a video about how to make adjustments with it. I'll send you a video on, how do I copy and paste this meal to the next day or to the next meal or whatever the case is. Kind of give you a little bit more individualized, like walking you personally through your personal plan on there, as well as including other snacks and stuff so that it's already logged in there in terms of like your past diary settings. So that way, whenever you're going to go look for one of your go-to snacks, it's already there. You don't have to go search it. You don't have to scan it. It's just there for you. So that's more of a personal type of thing. Okay, so the next thing on here, how to be successful week 1 and on. Again, we don't really need to dive into this, but I'm going to go through it anyway. Don't expect perfection. Instead, focus on progress. We always talk about progress over perfection. Especially week 1, but really this could be month 6. It could be year 2. It doesn't matter. You might forget something at the grocery store or not get enough food for the week, or it's hard to eat all your food on your plan or anything else. Control the controllables. We already talked about Mike. He's currently potty training, his and Becca's kids, who Becca's not on the call, but she's a member here with TLF as well. And they have a couple of kids in potty training. They're about to move in a month. We already kind of talked about that. And, ultimately what I got to tell them is control what you can control, whatever you're able to manage right now, manage that. And then we can always add on to that. It's just a matter of treading water with those certain staples. For them, it might just be, hey, meal prep and have your food ready to go. You might not get to the gym. You might not get your workouts in. You might not go get that walk in. Your sleep might be off because you got some little ones on hand, but you can at least control your food, whatever the case is. And that applies to anybody on anything it is you're doing, regardless where you're at in your journey with me or in life. This is a journey. It's not a sprint, and you don't have to have it all down on day 1 or week 1. And again, you could be a year into this and have a bad week. Control the controllables. Don't be too hard on yourself. The only time where you have to be 100% spot on with no missing anything is if you're stepping on stage for a bodybuilding show. I'm the only one here that's doing that. So you don't need to put that extra stress on yourself. And if you have the all or nothing mentality, get rid of that shit because it's not helping you. Review your diet plan, your grocery shop to the best of your abilities, meal prep to the best of your abilities. Understand that trial and error is a big, big part of this stuff. And what works for you this week might not work for you in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's just be reflective about it and give yourself grace to make mistakes or to miss things. And then just, reflect and try to improve those things. Plan your week ahead. Again, this is not just for the week 1 person, but this is for anybody this is for me, I've been doing this for 10, 12 years for myself. I got to plan out my week ahead. I got to know when I'm going to eat, what I'm going to be eating. When am I going to the gym? Every week things kind of change on me. Sometimes I got to do morning workouts. Today I had to go get lab work this morning and just to, again, check in to see where things are post-comp. And then I had to work out after work. Usually I work out before work. So again, it's about planning out your week ahead. When are you going to go on your walks? If that's on your program, or if that's something we're trying to build into your day, is when are you going to go on those walks? Are you going to do it in the morning? You're going to do it after work. Do you have something going on after work that you can't get to the gym and you can't get your walks in? Do you need to plan ahead for, a dinner out? Maybe it's a birthday celebration on Thursday and you got to plan ahead for that. So what do your meals need to look like on Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon leading up to that meal? Be thinking about these things. And if you have questions, that's when you ask me. All that stuff needs to be reflected on ahead of time so that you're prepared for that week. All it really takes is literally, 5 or 10 minutes on Saturday or Sunday, or even just, obviously Saturday, Sunday is usually the best because people's work weeks usually Monday through Friday. But no matter how the week goes, whether it's week 1 or it's month 1 or it's year 1, whatever, check in with me. This is the most important thing that you guys do. This is majority of what it is you're paying for. You're not just paying for a diet plan and a workout plan, though that's part of it. It's the accountability. It's your time to reflect. It's your time to be accountable. And then we adjust from there, and we can make adjustments like that. So that check-in process is huge, huge, huge. And again, planning ahead for those check-in days. Since we're talking about check-ins, the most important aspect of TLF are our check-ins. I'm going to pause real quick before I dive into this one right here. Krista, Luce, Haley, Mike, you guys have anything you want to add? Anything you need to say? Any questions? I don't want to just ramble on without giving you guys a chance to say anything. I'll take a sip. No pressure if you don't have anything to say.
Nope, you're doing great. All of these things, even though I know them, it's great for this reminder. So
yeah, and that's why I love these Zoom calls, because again, in terms of if we're looking at this lifestyle like a sport, there's so many things that go into it. It isn't just showing up for practice for 2 hours a day. It's a 24/7 thing. So like you said, Luce, you're going to forget some of these things. There's some things that are going to kind of fall off and not be in the forefront of your mind or your thoughts. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So we got somebody in the chat. Always good reminders. Thank you, Krista. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and dive on into this. So most important aspect of TLF check-ins, check-ins every Thursday. We kind of know that by now. Friday at noon is what I've kind of over the past couple months tried to make my hard deadline to get those in. It's not, I'm not trying to make your guys' life more difficult. I know some people, it's easier for you to check in on Saturdays, but Saturdays are also my longest work day. And sometimes I might not be able to get back to you, especially if, I'm taking Nicole out for dinner and I just worked, in the gym up until 1 or 2 p.m. And then I only have a couple hours to finish up any check-in. So if you're checking in on Saturday, I might not get back to you until Monday. So, try to get those in. What I always say is this. First off, you got Wednesday night reminders. Pretty much everybody has that at this point, unless I've missed you. I put those reminders in there so that you know that you can plan ahead for Thursday morning. Wake up, use the bathroom, check your weight, step on the scale real quick, snap your pictures, and then you don't have to post it right then. If you can't, I'm not going to get back to you at 6 a.m. anyway. So, get those two things out of the way, go on with your day at lunchtime or morning time if you have time, or dinner time even, or Friday in the morning. Then you upload those things, upload those pictures, upload that weight, and then respond to that check-in post. I know that Krista, I know you did do this. I don't know if you're still doing this, but you would, write this stuff down in your notes kind of throughout the week. On Monday, you'd reflect. Tuesday, you reflect. Wednesday, you reflect. Thursday, you'd post it or you'd send it to me. So whatever your strategy is to make sure you're spending that time reflecting, and you're also getting it to me on time is huge. Checking questions will likely be the same each week. They might evolve over time, but otherwise it's pretty simple stuff that I just want you guys kind of be mindful of and reflecting on. Husband just went out of town for 5 days, so I'm definitely thinking about how to prioritize based on your info. I still do that. iPhone's notes for check-in. So yep, Krista uses her iPhone notes, use that for her check-in. She kind of logs that all throughout the week. That way Thursday morning comes, she can maybe reflect on Wednesday, and then boom, she's good to go. She can upload that right away without having to take up a whole lot of time, because she's got a couple little ones. She's got a newborn. She's a teacher. She got to get out the door. But yeah, so then here, be consistent, on time, clear, and detailed. I don't want this and you don't want this, but I don't want to have to go back and forth asking you 10 other questions. I'm not trying to play 20 questions with you here. Answer those check-in questions to the best you can in detail, especially if there's something that's off, something, your digestion is struggling. Be reflective on that. Don't make me ask, hey, was it after every single meal? Was it after just one meal? Think about it. I was bloated all day long, every day this week, or I was only bloated after meal 1 every single day this week. So be reflective on that stuff and be really detailed in it, so that, especially because when you respond or when you check in, and I might not respond for another hour or two, I might not respond till that evening. So then if you don't respond then for another 12 hours, or you might not even see it until Saturday or Sunday, you might have already meal prepped, and we could have taken that food out that was causing you issues. So the more detail you can have that check-in be, it just allows us to knock your check-in out, and I can respond to everything I need to respond to with any adjustments. And then obviously, on Sundays, I try to reserve that time for just Nicole and I, and it's my off day. I don't need to go too much further into all that stuff. Obviously, if I have time on Sundays, I'll respond to any missed messages or anything like that. But otherwise, if you don't hear from me on Sunday, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not trying to ignore you, but I'm trying to just reserve that day so that Nicole and I can do our thing. What is a poor check-in? So this would be not checking at all, or sporadic and inconsistent check-ins. Usually the people who are not checking at all, they're sporadic and inconsistent. They're not seeing results, and they're not seeing results because you're not being accountable. You're not checking in with me. You're not showing up to the most important part of this program, and that is your reflection to me so that we can talk about it. And again, if everything was not followed at all that week, you didn't work out, you slept 2 hours a night, you felt like shit, you slept like shit, your digestion was way off, you ate nothing but awful food, that's the most important time to check in. I don't want you to say, oh, I didn't check in this week, I had a bad week. That's the most important time to check in. There's obviously a reason why that happened. You weren't prepared. You're lacking motivation. You're lacking momentum right now. There's something that's going on. It might be a stressful relationship. Let's talk about that. That's why I'm here. That's why you're paying me. So you utilize that part. And usually it's these people that they won't get results, and then they're going to quit on themselves. And then they're going to quit the whole program, and then we're going to revert back to old habits and let things snowball into an even worse state. You know, we always talk about not letting errors compound, mistakes compound. If you make a mistake, make it in a 100% intention to not let that become a bigger problem. Don't let one thing turn into another negative thing, turn into another negative thing, because whatever you're dealing with mentally that's causing the one thing to be off, you're only going to feel worse if things go even worse. You know, if you're going through a breakup, you know, with a relationship, that sucks and it's miserable and there's nothing fun about that. But the key with this though is that you don't want to compound that. You don't want to let your diet fall off. If you've been working out, but then you go through a breakup and now you stop working out, now you're taking away the things that were actually making you feel good, that you can focus on building you back up. And instead, a lot of us, as soon as we have one negative thing, oh, I want to go sulk on the couch. We all want to go sulk on the couch. We all want to eat chips and bullshit on the couch. But guess what? You're only going to feel good for that hour that you're doing it. The next day, you're going to wake up still broken up with, or you still lost your job, whatever the case is. But now you're up 3 pounds and you feel bloated and you have no energy. So now you just compounded the 1 or 2 issues you were having with 5 more things. And now you have even less motivation to get it figured out the following day. And that turns into 2 weeks, turns into 2 months, turns into, you know, COVID happens and you're still dealing with the same things you were dealing with 2 years ago. So don't let things compound. What is a great check-in? So I don't know if I can go back or not. Essentially, just be vulnerable, be completely clear. Somebody else just go back? Because I don't know how the hell that went back. What is a great check-in? Be vulnerable, dealing with intimate parts of your life. The more I know, the more I understand, the better coach I can be for you. Ask questions when you have them. Text me or message me in the app, whatever the case is. The more you ask, the more you're going to understand, the more comfortable you're going to be. We only have about 8 minutes left, just so you guys know. What is a great check-in? I'm not going to dive into all of this, but just understand the first, like number 1 right there, how well did you follow the diet plan and or macros this week? And in the pink writing on there is your response, or a couple different responses. So for instance, I'll just go over this first one. I crushed my nutrition this week. I did miss my snack on Wednesday, but every other day was spot on. Or I really struggled this week. I was busy on Sunday and didn't make time to meal prep. So I found myself stressed all week and never stopped to prep. Now that might be kind of more direct than what some of you are going to be, but that's a reality of the situation. Maybe, you know, we got Chiefs games coming up. You might not meal prep because you're going to the Chiefs game. You should have planned ahead and did it on Saturday. So don't wait till Sunday if you know that Sunday's booked up. Again, that comes with planning ahead. But I either missed meals or stopped by fast food because I wasn't prepped for the week. Some days they had sweets in the teacher's lounge and that I just couldn't resist. So just not a good week. That part right there, though, you know, that latter response is not a good response. It's detailed, it's insightful, and it's honest, and you're being accountable. And then we can talk about strategies to help you avoid that. Again, if you went to the Chiefs game on Sunday, we'll talk about strategies about, okay, you knew you were going to the Chiefs game. So on Saturday, did you have time to grocery shop and meal prep? Probably did. And if you didn't have time then, and you knew it on Friday that you were going to have a really busy weekend, then Friday had to be the time you carve out so you can have that. Or we'll talk about, you know, prepping double the protein on a Sunday so that you can freeze it and then thaw it out because you're not going to have time on the following Sunday. So again, I'm not going to dive into all that stuff. Here are some check-in progress pictures. If you're on here and you didn't know about it, pretty much everybody on here allows me to share their stuff. But so essentially, you know, some of these pictures on here are going to be self-timer or somebody else taking it. You got Allie over here. I'm pretty sure her husband took these. Brad's taking his in the mirror like a lot of people do. Same thing with Mike right here. It looks like on this picture on the far right, Mike's got, I'm sure that in this one, he's taking the picture himself, obviously. In this one, he's probably got it set up on a self-timer. Natalie, probably same thing over here. She's got it set up on a self-timer. Boom, 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 same thing. So you can take them in the mirror, whatever you got to do, just make sure you knock those out. So this is always a kind of question is what do progress pictures supposed to look like? Here they are. Here's one of me that I took, about a week ago. This is me in the mirror right before I went to work that day. Now here's another thing. So here's another add-on opportunity for you guys. This is for the person who's just really struggling and they get really, really bored with certain foods and they just need more changes. Now, obviously, if you've learned how to track your macros and you're utilizing all the tools I give you, you're going to know how to do this on your own. But let's say you're the person that refuses to track macros. It's not part of what you want to do. You can, for an extra charge, get a new diet plan every single month. So I won't really dive into that, but again, that's an extra thing that you can add on to your program. And every month, at the end of the month, I will send you kind of a reflection form, a little survey to fill out about your previous month's diet plan, how that went, how you felt with that, and then what are some specific changes, maybe specific foods or cravings you've been having that you would love to be on your diet, on your new diet plan. And then I'll do my best to revamp that diet plan and change things up and give you that more variety for yourself for the following month. And then my goal with that is I send that out on the last Monday of the month. And then you get that response to me, ideally that day or the next day. And then I have time that week to build out your new plan. It's uploaded by that weekend. And then you can start on the new plan that following month. Again, that takes a lot of time to do. So that's why it's an added charge. Meal prepping section. I'm not going to dive into all this, but we want to be efficient and we want to enjoy what it is that we're eating. So meal prep is obviously super key. Mike just mentioned this as well. When they're meal prepping, he's on point. When we're not meal prepping, it just makes the week a lot more stressful. We don't have foods ready to go. This page right here, the links will take you to YouTube videos that I've made over the time. You've probably seen a lot of these different videos. I post them at different times. This is how I cook chicken in bulk. This is how I cook rice in bulk. This is how I divide and prep all my meals for the week very, very quickly. Here is one just talking about sauces really quick. Mixing up seasoning is important. It also keeps things changed up. During prep, I'm not doing a whole lot of different sauces besides a couple of hot sauces. So I'm really leaning on the different seasonings. So keeping different things on hand, whenever you go to the grocery store, maybe try to find a different seasoning, something that you're excited to try. Here's some seasonings I keep on hand. This is a short little video as well with different seasonings on there. Logging your macros this is a huge one. If you're struggling with this and you don't want to take advantage of, that first or second add-on, well, here's another option for you. Use these tools inside of this Google Drive folder right here. I'm not going to click on it, but it's going to take you to a bunch of different videos, some other documents that I've used to kind of help explain things. So use these tools if you are struggling with macros. You can't be frustrated about not learning it if you're not even trying to learn it. This one, there's a bunch of pages here on skills, life improvements, and knowledge that you're going to gain from TLF. I'm sure a lot of you, if you've been with me for at least a handful of months by now, you have noticed improvement on a lot of these different things right here. Again, I'm not going to dive into all of it, but lots of just different life changes for you. Taking advantage of TLF, this is how you can just take full advantage of it and get the absolute most out of it. So by utilizing every little aspect of TLF, attending the weekly Zoom calls on Wednesday at 7 p.m. You 4 people are here right now listening to this, and then we'll have some people that always go back and listen to it there afterwards. Utilizing all the documents and tools that I give you. Take advantage of in-person training. Luce and Haley and Krista have all been in-person training clients with me at one time or another. And they've learned a lot through that time. I know I've had a lot of fun training them as well. I love getting to train in person. Talking about lab work. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Utilizing a 5-minute journal, which I have the link to right here. Referring friends, the more friends or family that you get to do this with you, it just makes it more fun for you, more, accessible for them as well. Oh, there you go, Luce. You got complimented on your form by someone the other day. That's exciting. I know that was kind of one of the reasons why you started training with me in person, Luce, was so that we could improve that and kind of take away that fear of the free weight section. Crushing it. That doesn't surprise me at all. You've been good with that stuff. Lab work reviews. Now this one right here, it's not pertaining to today. As I've told all you guys, I'm doing all my lab work reviews for free for the rest of 2022. So I know I got a couple people that just ordered this as well. So I'm going to be getting theirs out as soon as I get their info back on this. But so this will starting in 2023. So if you don't take advantage of it now, in 2023, this will be an extra cost. This takes me about 3 or 4 hours per lab review. So it is an extra cost come 2023. If you have any questions about this though, I'm happy to kind of walk you through what this process looks like, and do all of that. And so here's some more details on that stuff. Here's that Life Essential shopping list that I mentioned earlier. You got pill organizers, digital food scale, pressure cookers, glass Tupperware. I highly recommend using glass Tupperware, not plastic. I made the switch about a year or two ago. They break a little bit easier, but it's a whole lot healthier. You're not getting a bunch of plastic and that you're eating and stuff. Blender, metal water bottle, all that type of stuff. Here's a home workout essential shopping list. Links to the Zoom call, links to the Zoom call calendar, which I'll try to be consistent with updating that as well. The YouTube page with past videos where I upload all these at. Social media links where you can find me at, where you can follow me at. Podcast coming soon at the bottom there. Important links, your questionnaire, women's hormone questionnaire, weekly Zoom call, Facebook reviews, all of the other links that you could possibly need. Other links to, supplement companies, chiropractors, massage, Axel's amazing, and gyms that I recommend in various areas of the city. And then at the very, very end here, who I am, my competition history, when TLF was born. Friends, is about to cut me off right now, so I appreciate you guys being here. Great talk as always. Sorry we didn't have enough time for a Q&A, but Michael, Haley,